The big question here is, how does the new GoPro Hero 5 Black and Hero 5 Session stack up against the older GoPro Hero 4? And if you have a Hero 4, should you be considering upgrading to the Hero 5 Black? We're going to dive right in and start off with image quality. In terms of image quality, if you've got a GoPro Hero 4 Black, you're probably doing okay. As you can see by these side-by-side shots, I haven't been able to find a difference in the image quality of the Hero 5 Black and the Hero 4 Black. The two images straight out of camera, 1080p 60, they look very, very close. Now the Session, it does look different. This is the Hero 5 Session, and it does look a little bit softer than the Hero 5 Black and the Hero 4 Black. You can see as we jump between different angles shot with both the Hero 5 Black and Hero 4 Black, there really isn't that much of a difference in image quality. The two cameras, at least to me, look to be very, very close in terms of image quality, sharpness, and resolution. If you don't have to upgrade to Hero 5 Black for image quality, you might still want to upgrade for the image stabilization. This is a big deal. This is a software trick that happens in camera that takes potentially shaky footage and makes it look silky smooth. Now, it is important to emphasize that this is a software trick. So what happens here is the camera takes the full-sized image, the full sensor image, and then crops it down in camera to a narrower field of view by about 10%. And then this allows it to keep the inside of the image, what it's actually saving, more stable than the entire frame. So you do lose a little bit of field of view, but you do gain a lot in terms of stability. This is a very similar technique to what you could have applied in post to standard GoPro footage. And if you were very good in post at applying a stabilization filter or warp stabilizer in Premiere Pro, you could get results very close to what you can get with the built-in image stabilization. The difference here is that you don't have to have an expensive piece of software to do it. You don't have to know how to edit video. Your video comes out of camera looking smooth. And in my testing, it does a pretty darn good job. I tested the Hero 5 with image stabilization on, image stabilization off, and then I attached it to a 3-axis gimbal to see how the in-camera stabilization compared to the 3-axis gimbal. I found that the 3-axis gimbal, well better than the in-camera stabilization, did a good job of stabilizing the footage. This was emphasized even more when I tried this out on a bike. So this shot you're looking at now was shot in a Hero 4 Black, and the next shot was shot on the GoPro Hero 5 Black with image stabilization turned on. The difference between these two shots is huge. And if you do a lot of mountain biking, this could be a reason to consider upgrading to the Hero 5 lineup. While the in-camera image stabilization does not work perfectly in all conditions, it does a pretty darn good job most of the time, and it is a feature which I will definitely be leaving on at least 90% of the time when shooting with a Hero 5. The other new feature is voice control. GoPro, start recording. Is this a feature I see using every day? Probably not. Is it a feature I see using on occasion when the GoPro is mounted somewhere where it's not going to be that easy to get to? Probably. Is it going to make it easier to use? Yes. Is it going to be a killer feature that is a standalone reason for you to upgrade from your GoPro Hero 4? Probably not. The other new feature on the Hero 5 is that both cameras are now fully waterproof without waterproof cases. This is really cool because you no longer have to decide when you leave the house whether or not you're going to take that waterproof housing with you. I'm in the habit of almost never taking waterproof cases unless I know I'm going somewhere where I'm going to need them. I didn't like the added bulk, and I really didn't like the audio that they captured. So now that I don't have to think about whether or not to take that waterproof housing with me, I'm super stoked on that. But this comes with some drawbacks. The Hero 5 is bigger than the Hero 4 was without its waterproof housing. This means that if you want to go deeper than 30 feet, you are going to have to put your Hero 5 into a waterproof housing, making it larger than the Hero 4 is with its waterproof case. But I will take that trade-off because the built-in waterproof features of the Hero 5 is awesome. Plus, it's got its own built-in lens protector. Yes, that lens you see on the front of the camera, the square lens, is replaceable. On GoPro.com, you can buy replacement lenses for just 20 bucks. So if you ever crack your lens, you just buy a new lens protector, pop the old one off, and pop the new one on, and you are good to go. That is a really good feature, and it makes carrying around your GoPro without a waterproof housing way, way safer than it was before with the Hero 4s when the lenses weren't replaceable. It seems that every time GoPro releases a new camera, they improve the audio. And this time is no exception. The new Hero 5s sport better audio than ever before and a special new trick to reduce wind noise. As you can hear on this bike, this shot is with the first shot is going to be with the shot with the Hero 4 out of its housing in a skeleton case. And the second shot is with the Hero 5 with its auto audio wind noise dampening feature turned on. Before you ask, there is the ability to put an external mic input into the Hero 5 Black. However, your old mic adapters are not going to work. The Hero 5 now features, both of them now feature a USB Type-C connector. This is kind of the new standard in micro USB, so there's no more mini USB. It's all USB Type-C, but you will need a USB Type-C to 3.5 millimeter microphone jack in order to make that work. Those are available on GoPro, and I'm sure we'll see them from after third-party manufacturers pretty soon as well. The Hero 5 Black features a GPS. Note that it's not featured on the Hero 5 Session, just on the Black Edition. This GPS is currently only used for geotagging photos and possibly video. I'm not 100% sure about that. I have only seen geocaching signature show up on my photos, but apparently GoPro's working to add like a G-Metrics or a Garmin Verb G-Metric kind of overlay feature on in the future, but that is currently not supported. But the Hero 5 Black does have a GPS sensor, so that is something that could potentially be added in the future. The biggest thing for me on the Hero 5 Black is the touchscreen. It is awesome. I'm really stoked that the touchscreen now is on the only super high-end model of the GoPro. You don't have to choose resolution or touchscreen. You can get everything in the Hero 5 Black. The touchscreen makes setting up the camera so much easier. Everything is right there. You touch it, it's all intuitive. You can give this camera to anyone and they can set it up. This is definitely, hands down, by far the easiest GoPro ever to use. Everything is intuitive, everything is right there. It's only got 2 buttons, but figuring out how to use those buttons is simple. The mode button, the mode power button has been moved to the side of the camera where the highlight tag button was, and it now does everything. So you push that to turn it on, you can push that to highlight spots in a video when you're recording, and you can push that to change modes when you're not recording. Everything's on that button. There's a record button on the top, and the touchscreen lets you do absolutely everything you could ever want to do in the camera, and it's simple to navigate, it's easy to use, and it is super responsive. The touchscreen is awesome, and it makes this by far the easiest GoPro ever to use. All right, so the question of the day then is it worth upgrading from the Hero 4 Black to the Hero 5? I'm going to say right now that if I had to pick between the Hero 5 Black and the Hero 5 Session, I would be getting the Hero 5 Black. I understand that it's $100 more, but the added benefit of that touchscreen, the GPS, are huge. More the touchscreen. The ease of use with that touchscreen, as well as the slight boost in resolution, it seems, or fidelity in the image quality, is huge. I will definitely be grabbing my Hero 5 Black more often than the Hero 5 Session. Well, the Session is awesome and it's tiny, and you can put that thing in so many ridiculous places because of how small it is. The Hero 5 Black is in my opinion, much more powerful camera. But the question is, should you get the Hero 5 Black if you currently have a Hero 4? And it really comes down to this. You're not going to get that much better images out of the Hero 5 Black than the Hero 4. If you are using good techniques to get stable video, if you're shooting stable video right now with your Hero 4, or if you've got a 3-axis gimbal, if you understand the limitation of the camera, you understand how to stop vibration getting into the camera, then you are set. You don't need a Hero 5. You understand how to work with your Hero 4 to get the best images possible, and those images are going to be the same as what you could get using a Hero 5. But if you're not quite sure what you're doing with your Hero 4, if you're shooting shaky video, if you don't like how much time it takes to set up, if you're not really in tune with all the menus and how everything works, then the Hero 5 is for you. It's simpler to create the same quality of video you could if you knew exactly what you're doing with the Hero 4 without knowing anything about what you're doing using a Hero 5. And that is my conclusion. You can do everything you can do with a Hero 5 with a Hero 4. The image quality is pretty much on par, and everything else, all the software tricks, you can do in post. They'll just take more time and require more expertise in understanding what you're doing. The Hero 5 is amazing because it lets you shoot high quality, stable video with one push of a button. If you could upgrade from a Hero 4 to a Hero 5 for like $100, it might be worth thinking about. But don't be thinking that you're missing out on image quality if you've got a Hero 4. They're still really, really solid cameras. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've got opinions on the Hero 5, leave them down below. If you've got a Hero 4, will you be upgrading? What feature was missing that would have made you upgrade? Let me leave those down below. But most of all, guys, until next time, thank you very, very much for watching.